All right, good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital, nightly strategy podcast for March 16th, 2023. We'll start with the ritual crash. We'll start with the portfolio, swing portfolio review. So Alcoa, these are all on 30-minute charts. So yesterday, Alcoa, we completed this 3-position short. Today on the PSAR flip, we initiated with the standard risk box and are holding about +1 on the long side. That looks pretty good. Caterpillar, same deal. 3-position short we closed yesterday. Today on the COTA 2, standard risk to the bottom of the dragon. That's also holding about +1. Cliff initiated the PSAR flip today after closing the short yesterday. Today it's initiated along on CVS. That's holding about +2. Diamonds initiated to the southern skin of the dragon, so the logical stop for us on this one was here. So that's about that's just about a $2 stop, and that's holding basically +2. It's at a key test level, so if this holds, I will be looking to add another position in there tomorrow. I think that's the likely case. New target to the upside is this resistance around 329.50. That one's in good shape. Devon Energy, yesterday we closed the 2-position short. Today on the PSAR flip, I took the stop at the bottom of the dragon, and that one is holding also +2. Electronic Arts, this one was sweet. So we've been tracking the, this is like a compound COTA 2. And today there was a gap up. It was already above the peak of the RL10, so that was an instantaneous add. This is the routine risk, and this one is holding about +4. And it has cleared all the previous resistance, so Electronic Arts is looking pretty good. If we go back and look at a longer term, it's getting very near that 10-day peak. So tomorrow, if this continues and starts to bail, then I'll be looking to get out of that one quickly. But if it can get through about 114.50, that's where I'll add that second position. That's a good looking chart. That would be a candidate to hold longer term, like on a shift out to the daily. And you see this one is, this is in the long term basing action here. You see we've been trading that thing a lot, but if it can break above the 10-day high, then it only has to get above the 30-day high. Then you have this entire gap area, and there's nobody that wants to sell it if it gets above the 30-day high. So fingers crossed, this is a nice good news story on the Godzilla. Electronic Arts. Next up is the emerging markets. So you will recall that yesterday, we described in the last couple hours of the day, taking the speculative entry on the PSAR flip, using the bottom of the dragon as the risk. This vertical blue bar is the open. So it opened here and then did nothing but take off for 90 minutes. So added a second position quickly, and both of those now have closed very well. And on the first position, we're holding 2, and second position we're holding about 1. This is the key test area for tomorrow. If it can break above, say, 38, then I'll feel pretty sanguine about that one. Otherwise, if we see any kind of selling in that, I'll be looking to preserve profits. Mexico took the PSAR flip this morning, took the, I'm about halfway between the belly of the dragon, which was too close, and the belly of the RL10 was too far, so basically split the difference. And this risk box is the same as that one, the same as that one. So bottom line, we're holding +3 in Mexico, and there's still a good move to the top of the RL10 available. So I like Mexico on a follow-through for tomorrow. Brazil, this is a kind of a lazy Kata 2. Here's layer 1, layer 2. This is about 2 hours into the day, and we got that little R10 wiggle and started to hold. So it took the stop to the bottom of the dragon. That's a little wider than the previous 2 stops that we've used. I wanted to give that one more room to run because it was fairly close to this resistance level. But again, if it can break above 27 tomorrow, this thing looks free and clear all the way up to 28. And I would be looking to add a second position in here somewhere as soon as it clears this resistance. That's a pretty good looking recovery. Intel has been the champ for us. We identified that tech was leading the way in resisting the financial sell-off, and so that allowed us 2 days ago to initiate the Kata 2 here on a very tight stop, and it closed well twice, and yesterday finished very strongly, and today gapped up and continued to go. So we added a second position here and riding those up. So that first position on such a tight risk is holding about 5, 6, 7, 8, about +9 on the first position, and 1, 2, 3, 4, +4 on the second one. So we're about 13R into this one. I'm not going to let it fall back below this shelf. I'm willing to give back about 2R. But we're holding 13 on Intel. And more to come. International paper. I should be just rolling this money into Intel, but it gave a morning hook and then a PSAR flip and closed pretty well. I think that money would be better off in Intel or NVIDIA, to be honest. On the other hand, this is an industrial company and it gives me a little diversification. So I think we'll be all right. IYR, this one we initiated yesterday. Oops. Come on, pen. We initiated the PSAR flip yesterday. Today, it just failed. So we took the -1 on that one, and then it rebounded and didn't do much. So that one feels like dead money. Regional banks, I think the pain is over. Fed has spoken. Government has spoken. This was a morning hook. I think that washed out all the weekends. The PSAR flip held right here, allowed for a tight risk box, and it closed pretty well, and we're holding +2. And boy, is there a ton of room to go. Godzilla. Marijuana. Now, this was an intraday gift of great proportions. There was the PSAR flip, so we initiated here at about an hour into the day. Standard risk box against the PSAR. And then it just took off up to 675, giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, +5 in hand. Ended up giving back 2 to get out here about an hour later. So ended up netting 3. Didn't have the fortitude to play it on the short side. That caught me by surprise. But I'll take 3 in an hour. Happy to do it. And that's really in play for tomorrow because there's a bunch of people, that bought it inside here and watched it run up and all the way back, and they're in disbelief. There are going to be panic sellers, or more buyers are going to come in at this value play. So MSOS is in play tomorrow. And as long as it's below $7 a share, it's kind of in knuckle biting time. And this has been under 7 has been a place where there's been buying pressure before. So I would not be surprised by a continuation here. By the same token, I'm ready to play it short if it breaks below 620. Clean energy feels like it bottomed out here at the 10 and 30-day low, and so we exited the 2 positions short yesterday, and then today, about 90 minutes into the session, it had PSAR flipped and got through the morning hook, so we were able to initiate with a tight risk box, and that's holding +1. That feels all right. Rivian, we've been documenting this long slide, which we were not able to get. Finally got it 2 days ago, enjoyed a 2-day move to here, and that felt like it had had enough. So we exited yesterday near the close. Today there was a PSAR flip and just an orderly resumption. I mean, I'm ready to hold this one all the way up the same way that it slid all the way down in an orderly fashion. This just feels like a bottom is in, and there's some patient accumulation going on inside here. So I like that longer term. If we look at that long term, look at the big sell-off from 22 down to 13. That's a 50% loss over the last 30 days, and it has just started to make the recovery. So to me, that's kind of a low-risk trade. Today, the S&P has been respecting this double bottom over here. The winter turned to spring, is now in the summer, and it closed really well. That's going to feel like a Kata 2 tomorrow. It's going to go, and if it breaks above, call it 400, it's back. It has weathered the storm. This makes it the government intervention in here to protect mom and pop against the incompetence of some bankers makes this sell-off look kind of benign, but man, it was a close thing. But it looks like it was contained pretty well inside the regional bank sector. The big banks probably benefit from this, and they may still be on sale right now because they're going to get a lot of assets from the regional banks that need the liquidity, and they'll get that at a premium. Treasuries. Haven't been trading them, just been watching. This has been a really hard trade for a swing. There have been some intraday moves that are tradable. Like today was tradable to the short side, but that's really hard to swing, so I'm staying away from that right now. Tesla. So let's see, 4 days ago we initiated the PSAR flip with a standard risk box, and it gave us 2 legs up, 1 leg back, and then yesterday at near the close, we added the PSAR flip second position on the Kata 2, and that really performed well today and held nicely, and it's holding above these 2 resistance levels. Those resistance levels, which made it fail before, now could make it find support. So I like the fact that we got 2 positions in the money. The market has held its breath and gotten through the risk, and tech is leading the way. So I really think we're going to see Tesla move. Finally, this is U.S. Steel. Another metal where we really enjoyed the 3 position short over the previous 2 days and covered as it found stability and support. The dragon alerts us that that run to the downside may be over. And today just initiated the standard PSAR flip, and I took the risk to the bottom of the dragon. Now that looks kind of like dead money compared to Alcoa and Cliff, but I also think this has further to gain. So I'm looking for a move to 27.5. So pretty good transitional day today. I thought we did a nice job of accepting the harvest on the short side when it was available, and found ways to get a long side bias where it made sense. And I feel like we navigated the whitewater pretty nicely on that one. So I think the last 2 weeks have been pretty instructive. That's worth going back and listening to the nightly podcasts to kind of get the narrative on out of nowhere a financial crisis, how we traded through that, how we shifted to the short side and picked up about 100 R by my rough estimate, and then made the transition tentatively to the long side based on following price, and I think we're in good posture right now. All right. Sniper trade of the day. So now we're looking at a 3-minute chart. Symbol is irrelevant. This was the close yesterday. This blue box represents the OR3. And on the fourth bar, it triggered us to the downside, so we got short with a standard risk box here. And instead of failing, it immediately reversed. And so we took the -1 loss and then stopped and reversed because it was breaking out above the OR3 box. Checker hold. All right, but with about 4 bars into the next cycle, you could get your stop to here. And lock in that little piece of gain, which gives us the no lose plus dinner for 2, and turns this whole project into a science project now that our risk is out. And we're about, so this first one is about -1. This one is already about +1. So we're net 0 for the day. And we have 1 position long. This is instructive. So this little bit of sideways waffling, and then it starts to resume. Now notice that the PSAR doesn't care about the noise. It's just continuing to march. The dragon is good protection against that noise. And then you have the little wiggle in the RL10. We like to call that a wiggle, because instead of failing, it just wiggles and then resumes higher. And we take that to be a very strong sign, a vote to the upside. And now at about 3R, we get another R10 wiggle. It flirted with the PSAR here. And now with about 1, 2, 3R in hand, get a second position. It feels like it's cleared this sufficiently. So now we're at +3 and 2 positions in hand. And your stop should be probably right about here. So that if this does fail, then the loss you take here is offset by the 3R that you have here, and you would net 2. So why not? Another 2-hour battle drill, because why not? And you notice another little R10 wiggle of that little hesitation, which resolves to the upside, and you got 2R from the last position. So we just add the third position, checker hold. And fourth position, because why not? And then exit at the edge of the dragon. I just can't take it anymore. And we got 4 positions in. So we go to the tote board real quick and say for 1 unit of risk, that first position gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So 6.5 on the first position. Second position gets 1, 2, 3.5, 3.5 on the second one. Third position gets 1.5. Fourth position pays for commissions and slippage and whatever you want. So that's 11.5 out of the first 3 positions, minus 1 from the opening. So 10.5. Call it 10 and be done with it. So we'll take that. Kata 2 re-entry, standard risk box, checker hold. Standard exit for a fraction. Kata 2 re-entry, standard risk box, checker hold. Minus a half. Kata 2 re-entry, standard risk box. Maybe plus 2. And that's a pretty good day at work. You know, this doldrums at the lunchtime. We gain a fraction, we lose a fraction, and then we gain another 2 in the afternoon, resumption to the upside. And this one's in NVIDIA, which was on our short list because tech and semis were leading the way. Intel was a good trade today. Texas Instruments was a good day today also. NVIDIA was the best. So that's about 12 for NVIDIA. Check the traders real quick. Peter is starting to work on some 30-minute work. I think this was, yeah. Okay, so he gets, this is Alcoa, plays the PSAR flip, cashes 1. Scratches in Caterpillar, reasonable effort. Cliff, reasonable effort, scratches 1. Devon Energy nets a half. Reasonable PSAR flip. Still learning his way around the system. It was a little. He says he was a little late on the entry. I don't think so on U.S. Steel. This was in the doldrums of that day, so maybe it's a little late. I don't know. A fractional loss. And then picks up 0.5 on uranium, also a Kata 2. So he spent most of his time with emerging markets. And this is, I think your finger's a little too tight on the trigger here. And the reason I say that is, if the PSAR flip is here, really the price that invalidates the trade is anything below here, or if you took a tight risk at the bottom of the dragon. So that should only be 0.5. Even that move there to get out should only be a 0.5, and that's if you're using the bottom of the dragon. And the reason that matters is because instead of taking that, you should reasonably be in for that kind of a move and make a half. But now, span of control, Jiminy Crickets. On a standard risk, that's probably 4R. And this one, you stick too long. Now, you want to take it at the edge of the dragon so that you always know how much money you're net. So that the exit here at the edge of the dragon would preserve 2R for you instead of 1. I like the offer at the short to try to get down to the VWAP. When that doesn't work, this should be a stop and reverse, and that should be your second position. And then this is late exit. You need to be taking those at the edge of the dragon and really preserve that move. I like this short and quick cover, and then there's a PSAR flip, and you'll get paid on that too. So this was net 1. This could have been 4 to 5 with some improvements in those areas. But still, for your first day, 2.3R ain't bad. He notes that the 30-minute charts are much easier to trade, that he's been watching too many symbols, so he's got to neck it down to a handful, maybe like what Woj is doing. And then just some practice on the entering and the exiting on the beat. But good, nice work. This is Woj. A little late on the entry. This entry should be here. I like this short. I think that should be a stop and reverse because you got a full wrist box off the bottom. But in any case, you should at least be long here. Then on your worst day, that's a scratch instead of -1. But if you're long here, then you should be able to convert that to a +1. That is your... Stay out of your meetings because you're missing the two easiest trades of the day. I would have been tempted on the short side here and got chopped. But keep firing. You make bank on this one, and now you could get long in here. That's still really good. Much better exit and quick scratch. So this +1 on a normal day with no meetings is about +4. And then we should be getting an extra +1 instead of a -1. So that should really been around a +2 day. And then if you can trade in here, this would be +7. In this case, though, the meeting kept you out of the chop and missing the kata too, I might add. This short, we stayed in that way too long. That thing is supposed to fail right away. And when it doesn't, and the PSAR flip, you should be exiting here and re-entering somewhere in here instead of here. And that cost you an R. And then again on this one, there's no way we should be letting a 0.5 win turn into -1. So calm down a little bit and get back to your basics. That's some sloppy execution in there. This is a good kata too. And I don't mind that as a exit, I suppose. But if I was trying to overcome some of that drag, I would want to be out in here at the edge of the dragon rather than all the way through the dragon. And then we took the full 1R loss, no, 0.6 loss. A reasonable re-entry would have been right there instead of here. So I just think your timing was not good today. It may be that you expended a lot of mental energy in the meeting, so you got to use it. You got to be monitoring your physical state on that to be ready. Arch brings in 1.1 on the 5-minute Aussie. I like the short. This is where I want to see that exit to preserve. You want to preserve that part of the move instead of scratching. Then that makes this a stop and reverse with a wrist box just to the bottom of the dragon. Then this would be a second position, and those get paid. Emerging dragon might have gotten paid, and this one really does well. And again, I like to see you get out up in here, especially after a nice run up. I don't like to give back that much, especially this far. It came all the way back to the Bollinger Band mean and then rode way up, and then you rode it all the way down here. I just say, look, let's take the gift horse right here and play it from here to there and be done with it. You can always re-enter. You got to take them quick. You got to get out quicker, in my view. Let's see. Got to hit the daily. Pulling up the daily report here real quick. Alrighty, daily report. Sideways normal. We're 0.84% above the 200-day moving average, so still in sideways. The ADX is strong at 28. It's a strong bull. The risk Z is warning us about downside. You can see the risk Z is adding some volatility here. When this thing turns, we want to be ready for the swing. I think we're posturing for that. I think the financial crisis is contained. You're still going to see some regional banks and some of the international banks that don't have such a rapid response as ours suffering. That could explain Credit Suisse. But I think we're through the storm. In the Dow Tactical, we still have 3 5DDs. We got Pfizer, 3M, and IBM. Had some breakouts here to the upside. Intel strong, Microsoft, and NVIDIA, all tech all the time, and that's what we've been beating the drum for with those ones by name. And NVIDIA, the big mover, that's the big winner. That's the one you saw us get 10 on this morning. So I'm really liking that posture. And there's still a large number, a majority of the large caps with a favorable swing reward to risk. So this is a buyer's market. We're still in the early innings. On the ETFs, a handful of breakouts to the upside. The Qs, S&P Tech. Let's see. I like all of those, and I like the. We still got a lot of auto framers well positioned for swing trading. There's your framing data for those of you doing end of day trading. Looking at the framing data here, it tells you we're 5 cents above today's high, an initial stop 5 cents below today's low, using the 10-day high as the profit target. That allows us to calculate the reward in risk dollars. We express those as a multiple of ATR for the reward to risk. If you want to finesse it a little bit more, you can compare 3 variations on risk, where you take a quarter of an ATR risk, the range risk, or a full ATR risk. This spreadsheet will highlight the value that is in the middle and report that as my risk. So like Caterpillar, a quarter of an ATR risk is $1.86, a full ATR is $7.45. The range risk, which was that mechanical entry and exit, is $6.59. So since that's in between a quarter and a full ATR, this spreadsheet chooses that as the risk. And then for some reference data, you can take a look at some of the supporting technical data there. Daily squeezes, only Home Depot was squozed to better than 2 to 1. The Qs are actually at a relatively small range today, as was Tesla. That Tesla is a good news story right now. This was not a runaway move on Tesla, even though it was to the upside. That was still grinding and leaving the station. I think there's a lot more room for Tesla to go. That's going to have my attention tomorrow. Checking in on the world of the Godzillas. There were only a few that had large moves today, and you're starting to see some quiet amongst the Godzillas here. Rivian is a quiet Godzilla, and you'll remember that was a Godzilla to the downside, but it was very, very orderly. And then it went sideways, and we just got the long side on the Godzilla rebound on that one. I love the fact that it's wildly oversold, therefore a value play, and lacks volatility. So it tells me that maybe the selling pressure is over and it's time for a rebound for the Optimists Club. Just quick references for the most volatile, the most quiet, and then the biggest one-day movers in the S&P on the basis of the Z-scores, of the 5-day volatility Z-score and the 1-day. Standard sniper framing with end-of-day data. So, as you know, we've been reporting this on the basis of the reward to risk ratio column. And what I note, and the blue line is showing everything that is greater than 2 to 1 on a test of the 10-day high. And the dark one, the market is kind of right in the middle, along with Tesla, right around 1.8 to 1. I want you to notice that all the metals are heavily oversold, and that's why they offer like 5 to 1 reward to risk ratio. That's U.S. Steel, Cliff, and Alcoa. So I really like the upside on those if we see any kind of juice, and the same with Devon Energy. And then down here, you'll notice that all of the tech names, especially the semiconductors, are so near their 10-day high that there's no favorable reward to risk. But we've already got positions on those. And so any intraday move is simply a renewal of the upside momentum. So you can still play them as a momentum play. It's not the deep value kind of play that you would see right now with the metals. So two different strategies. Both of them are looking at the extremes of performance. These are the ones that are most dramatically oversold and need to catch up. These are the ones that are leading the way on relative strength and might be momentum plays. And as usual with the big fat market right in the middle. But, you know, anytime the market itself is right around 2 to 1, that's actually a good posture for swing trades on the long side, because there will be value players and momentum players looking to get long the index, and that will contribute to the performance of all of these symbols. And I think that's everything I want to. You see, today it's been a pretty good 2 days, 2 days of recovery. And the thing that we like to look at is, yeah, if all of the goodies are strong in here, what's also been strong for 10 days? Tech, utilities. These have been strong over the last 2 days. What's been really strong? Bitcoin, Procter, Intel, and Microsoft. There's your winners, Intel and Microsoft. Crushing it. Cisco to a lesser extent, but not bad. Intel, Microsoft, man. I'm telling you. And almost everything else has been pretty good except treasuries. Everything's recovering nicely. So that's why it feels broadly like the market is probably turned. All right, I think that's everything we got. Yeah, let's look at this real quick. The top 5 candidates for best intraday traders is a combination of large daily range percentage moves and then strong frog quality numbers. So our top 5: Tesla, clean energy, Devon, marijuana, Nvidia. That's how Nvidia gets onto the list. And notice Intel's not far behind. All right, that's everything we got for today. Let's get this published and processed and be ready for them tomorrow.